We continue to follow the apartment building collapse in downtown Davenport. Here's what we know right now. 3 people are still missing after city officials say they found 2 others in Davenport and Texas. The city of Davenport is offering financial assistance to displaced residents and businesses, as well as neighbors affected by the collapse. City officials have not said when the building will be demolished. The city, meanwhile, laying out what it plans to do next. News 8's Cesar Sanchez is live for us in downtown Davenport. Cesar, the city calling this a recovery situation.
Yeah, John, you're absolutely right. It's now been 4 days since the Davenport building collapsed, and emotions are still high around here, especially among the people who've been out here for days waiting for an answer. And it's making it difficult for the city to make a decision, especially ideal for all involved. An emotional 96 hours.
This is something that has impacted our entire community. We had a number of people displaced, but we have families here that are still wanting answers and searching for their loved ones.
The city has identified a new missing person, Daniel Preen, joining alongside Brandon Colvin and Ryan Hitchcock, whose families have not heard from since Sunday.
Right now, we don't have any family members. We're working on points of contact.
Mayor Mike Mattson says this has become a recovery situation.
We have had teams of multiple jurisdictions, from our folks to the state search and rescue, to the MABUS folks, in that building numerous times. We have had infrared canines in that building numerous times. I can't explain to you enough, and I'm sure it won't be enough, but the amount of caring by our first responders to get in that building and try and save lives and find folks, I don't know if it's unheralded.
While efforts continue, the city is preparing its next steps.
We are working on a timeline. We are reaching out to experts that have particular expertise in taking it down with a very dignified and respectful way.
A process that is difficult to deal with.
Believe me, that we understand the significance of this tragedy and the significance and the terrible sadness that the families are going through for their unaccounted relatives.
Now, earlier this week, the city said there was 5 people unaccounted for. 3 of them include Hitchcock, Colvin, and now Preen. The other 2 have been found, one here locally in Davenport. The other one moved out of her apartment and is now living in Texas. John, back to you.
All right, thank you, Cesar. Now, the city of Davenport says it will continue to monitor the situation, and right now, there is no timeline on when demolition will begin. This is 49-year-old Laverne Clark. He was arrested for trespassing and harassment. You can see him yelling in handcuffs while officers walk him away from the collapse. He was released on a $600 bond. Davenport City crews are moving the barriers around the collapsed apartment building. This is the latest effort to keep everyone safe from the possibility of a larger collapse. Instead of limiting traffic on Harrison, they are reopening 2 lanes of traffic. This is the first time in a couple of days the intersection has been fully open to traffic. The city released nearly 100 documents last night in connection to the building. Some date back to 2020. Included are notices to vacate specific units, structural reports, and fire code failures, among other things. News 8's Joe McCoy continues our team coverage tonight. Joe, you have been combing through those reports since late last night, and today you got to ask the city about what you discovered.
I did, John, and there was a ton to sift through in these documents right here. But there were some very eye-opening reports that shed light on the extremely poor condition of the building before it collapsed. More than 90 different reports were released, some with pictures on the condition of the apartment building before it collapsed. News 8 has gone through the documents line by line and found some interesting details. On February 2nd, Davenport Development and Neighborhood Services released a report saying in part, quote, part of the southwest wall has been gradually failing. There's visible crumbling of this exterior load-bearing wall under the support beam. To continue to use the building, you must provide an engineer's letter stating that this is not an imminent danger. Select Structural, the engineering company hired by building owner Andrew Wold, conducted an emergency site visit the same day and concluded, quote, an evacuation or lockout of the building is not necessary at this time. Less than a week before the building collapsed, another report was released.
In a report from May 24th from Select Structural, which was 5 days before the building collapsed, it says, in anticipation of these areas falling, the brick facade above the window should be secured. This is to keep the entire face of the building from falling away from bottom areas that come loose. Did that not cause you guys to pause and say that no one should live in this building?
They're still investigating that. If you look at the January report, it was a similar repair that was made back in January. So they're still looking at that, and we'll get those answers.
Believe me, the investigation, we're as interested as anybody else.
Mayor Mike Mattson continues to emphasize the fluidity of the situation, as well as the city's commitment to get to the bottom of why this happened. Right now, though, the situation has many more questions than answers. John?
All right, thank you, Joe. Now, city officials did offer an answer to questions about one document in particular, a city permit that was issued last week. Days before the collapse, they say a city worker who wasn't named was responsible for originally giving a building permit a passing grade on an inspection. City officials say it boiled down to human error and a technical glitch. Officials say the worker has resigned and is no longer employed by the city. As we continue to follow this story, you can find more of our coverage and ways you can help those who have been impacted on our website, WQAD.com.